We're going to look at rigging the sail. Before we begin, it helps to know the different parts of the sail. Starting with what's labelled in the red. On the left we have the luff, and the sleeve that the mast goes up is called the luff sleeve. At the top we have the head, and the bottom we have the foot. The back edge of the sail is called the leech. Now looking at the parts labelled in green, on the right hand side we have the clew, at the very bottom corner we have the tack, and then you can see the battens indicated by the 4 arrows. The battens are stiff struts that run from the luff to the leech. What they do is help to give the sail stability and to focus the pull of the sail into a specific spot. This is sometimes called the centre of effort. Before we rig the sail, it helps to have all the parts. We need the sail, the boom, a mast, an extension, and it can also help to have a rigging tool. On the sail, either on the tack or the foot, you'll find instructions on how to rig the sail. It will often tell you the size, 5.2, it will tell you the mast, 400, the size of the extension, 18, and the size of the boom, 167. On some sails, it will just tell you the luff length, which is the mast and extension combined. Try and use these rigging instructions as a guideline. They're not set in stone. Before I put all the pieces together, I need to adjust my boom to get as close to 167 as possible. Do the clips back up. I will also do the same with the extension and have it as close to 18 as possible. Make sure the pins are firmly in place. Check where the wind is coming from, and it is important to make sure it is behind you before unrolling the sail. It also helps to have all the equipment close at hand before you do this. You start by putting the top of the mast up the luff sleeve, thread it through the cutout into the top part of the luff sleeve. We now need to put the mast together. Make sure the end is clean and slide them together firmly. It's important to make sure that the 2 ends go all the way together and there is not a gap in between. You might choose to put a bit of tape around the join to help keep out any sand or debris. Continue pushing the mast up the sail. Come to the cutout in the luff, pull down from the top of the sail before feeding the mast the rest of the way in. Make sure the mast goes right the way to the head of the sail. We now need to put the extension in the bottom of the mast and thread the rope around the pulley. Try and make sure as you thread the rope through the pulley in the sail and the extension that they line up and that they are not crossed over. This will make the rope easier to pull and it will stop the rope wearing down as much. In the bottom of the extension you should find some teeth. This is the cleat. Make sure the rope rests in these teeth. It will hold it in place. You can also see that all the rope lines up. Having an easy rig tool helps you to pull the rope. You can use your hands, but sometimes this can be painful and sometimes it's just not possible. We like to use this one, which is a metal bar with 2 holes in it. If you want to make your own, you can use a short length of broom handle and drill your own holes, or you could just use any sort of bar. Thread the rope through one of the holes and then back down the other, creating a loop. Pass the loose end through the loop, and then as you put tension on it, it will hold it in place. Place your foot on the bottom of the mast foot and push with your legs. Try not to pull with your back. Make sure you put the rope through the cleat. Here you can see the sail as it gets tension put on it. We now need to put the boom onto the sail. At the head of the boom, you have a boom clamp. This attaches onto the mast. Open the lever and undo the rope. Open up the gate and put it around the mast. Make sure the rope goes around the gate again before you close the lever. It should be tight and secure, but not so tight that it crushes the mast. The end of the boom attaches to the clew. There is a loop. Pass the loop through the eyelet of the sail, fold it over and hook it back onto the boom. Find the end that sits in the cleat, pull this rope, put a bit of tension in the sail and lock it in the cleat. Now we've done the basics of putting the sail together, it's time to look at tuning. We're going to tune the downhaul. Look at the leech of the sail. Here you can see that it's quite tight. As we pull more downhaul on the sail, you can see that the leech has started to go floppy. Don't worry, this is a good thing. We're now going to talk about how we use it. When you have less downhaul, the leech is tighter. You can use this in lighter winds and it will make the sail more powerful. Make sure though it has at least some downhaul and a little bit of floppy leech, otherwise the sail won't work properly. As a general rule of thumb, look on the top panel of the sail and make sure that the leech comes at least a third of the way in, the minimum. When we pull on more downhaul, the leech will become looser. This is useful in higher winds, or if it's gusty, it will allow the sail to twist away and deliver the power in a more controlled fashion. This will also make the sail less powerful. The outhaul on the end of the boom controls the depth of the sail. When it is looser, the sail is more powerful. If you pull more on the outhaul, it will flatten the sail off, make the sail more aerodynamic and less powerful. The battens above and below the boom should be touching the mast. If they are not touching the mast, the sail will feel unstable. If the battens have difficulty rotating around the mast, add more downhaul. Once you have tuned the sail, we need to tidy away the loose ends of the rope. Do a half hitch and then stash the downhaul in the pocket. Also make sure that the outhaul on the boom is tidied away correctly. Finally, make sure that the uphaul is attached to the bottom of the sail. Top tips for setting up the harness lines. They should be where the sail is balanced. Pick up the boom with your finger to check. If it's too far forwards and if it's too far back. The harness lines should be a hand's width apart. pick the sail up, place your hands a shoulder width apart either side of the harness lines. The sail should pull evenly from both hands. The boom height should be roughly shoulder height. A nice way of checking is to loop your arm over the boom and make sure it comes up to your armpit. Remember, on the water, the boom will go up by about 3 to 4 inches when you put it on the UJ. De-rigging is relatively simple, it's just the opposite process of rigging up. Make sure the foot of the sail is into the wind and take off the uphaul. We then take off our outhaul. We then undo the boom clamp and take the boom off. Release the downhaul and take the extension out of the mast. When you pull the mast out the sail, it helps to twist it. You can go to the cutout and help to feed the mast out of the sail. Make sure the sail is flat, come to the head of the sail and you're going to roll the sail up. Try and roll along the battens, keeping the sail as tight as you can. When you finish rolling up the sail, secure it with a bit of bungee so it stays together.